The main reason some car flippers are making $10,000 a month while others are losing money all comes down to the deals they're buying. So today, I'm trying to find the absolute best deal on Facebook Marketplace right now. And after making hundreds of thousands in the last 6 years from car flipping, I've made 3 rules we'll be following today to get the best deal. All cars must be under $5,000, less than 190,000 miles, and they only can have cosmetic problems, no mechanical ones. Because if fixing a few cosmetic problems makes us thousands of dollars in profit, I'd say that's a pretty solid deal. This first car is a $1,500 Chevy Malibu with 185,000 miles. Looking through the pictures, it actually looks pretty clean. We can see the faded paint, but other than that, I don't see anything wrong. We can't see any interior pictures, but I'm gonna save it and we'll come back to it later and compare it with some other cars and also buy a Carfax on it. But it really comes down to when we compare it, if other cars are worth a lot more than that one. But let's check out this one I just clicked. It has a transmission issue, and that's right away gonna be a deal breaker, and I'm not gonna buy it. A $2,000 Ford Focus with 120,000 miles. Transmission's acting up, no thank you. All right, this one's a $1,500 Jeep Commander. It doesn't say the miles, and they don't say it in the description either. It says selling for my grandma, which is sometimes a little sketchy because it could be car flippers and they just sign the title and are acting like it's their grandma, but it's really just some random person. But it honestly doesn't really matter, because if you have the title, you basically own the car. So I'm gonna save this car and we'll come back to it in a little. We're gonna be finding like 10 deals or so, and then we're gonna come back and buy Carfaxes on all of them. And if all the Carfax check out, then we'll start comparing the cars and seeing if they're actually deals or not. In the description on this car, he says I need to sell this car. It's 151,000 miles. And that's really all he says. He shows horrible pictures. It does look a little beat up, but it could definitely be fixed up and look pretty good. So we're gonna also save this one. Ooh, $1,700, 145,000 miles. A really good vehicle. It was newly registered in January, and it has a salvage title, which I really don't like to see. And it says it's because of damage in the rear. Yeah, we could see the bumper right there. It's tied on, basically, which isn't that good, and obviously that's why the salvage title is there. But it seems like the rest of it was fixed up, so I really don't mind. And there still could be a good profit to be made on this car. So we'll save that. And ones like this, like it's $1,500, and obviously it's not that price for a 2017, and you can see in the window sticker, that sticker means it's a dealership, and it's probably a $1,500 down payment. So I don't even bother clicking those. But like this $700, it's gotta have problems. Yep, the transmission's going out, of course. 75,000 miles, that's really good. Great running car, don't let this deal pass up. Transmission's slipping. All right, this one has 180,000 miles, which is a little high for the miles, but it's only $1,500, so if it's not too bad, it definitely can make some money on it when we resell it. It says there's a dent somewhere, so that's what I'm looking for. But the rest of the car looks really clean. Actually, yeah, if you could just replace that fender right there and all these little scuffs you can just touch up with touch-up paint, this thing could make some good money as long as they're selling for a good price. It all just depends when we go to compare this car if the other similar Scions are selling for a good price or not. An $800 Mazda 3 with 190,000 miles. I actually bought an $800 Mazda 3 as one of my first cars, but this one has a problem with the intake manifold roller stuck open. If it's stuck open, it's usually just wiring, and you might have to replace the part. Yeah, it has pretty high miles, but I mean, $800 car that's running and driving, and you just have to fix one thing. That's definitely going to be a good deal. And cars like this where you don't see the mileage down below, I'll still click on, and hopefully they say it in the description, or you could buy a Carfax for it. And I see they say OBO, which they're willing to negotiate on it, which is even better. And the rest of the pictures look pretty good. There's a few things that are going to need to be fixed up. Obviously, like that dent, and then just a couple other things. But if it runs and drives for $1,300 with no mechanical problems, that's pretty sick. And rule 3 was that they had to have cosmetic problems only. I'm gonna be saving the ones with mechanical ones because they still are deals, but when we get to the end, we'll only look at the ones with cosmetic ones. $1,700 does have 200,000 miles, but it's a 4x4, which go for a lot more money than other ones. And you can see the steering wheel's messed up. There's some seat covers, so it's probably messed up under the seats. The seats are ripped. And that's very common for people to just put seat covers over it to hide it. So you just have to be aware of that. But it looks like it's all just cosmetics and there's no mechanical problems. So this one's gonna be a save. And as you'll see when we buy Carfaxes on these cars, a lot of them have bad Carfaxes and we'll just have to take them off the list, which is why I always recommend buying Carfaxes. Like they'll be salvaged and they didn't tell you they were salvaged, or just some huge problem with the car, or there was a odometer rollback or something like that. This car we're looking at right now, he says it needs to be sold ASAP. I'm moving, which means he's negotiable on the price. And it's been 6 days, and so he's probably really ready to sell this thing, and he's about to move, so he'd give you a really good deal on it. And it has 175,000 miles, but for the price, I think this will be good. We'll just have to compare it later on and see what other similar ones are selling for to see if it's actually a deal or not. For this car, I've actually seen that background in a lot of listings, and so I know this is probably a flipper or he's just reselling a whole bunch of cars. So that scares me and I won't even click it. Because when they resell a whole bunch of cars or something, they've already made the profit on the car, which is why they're selling it. Or it has a huge problem that isn't worth fixing up, and so that's not a car I'd want to be buying. This one would probably be a pretty good deal, but we aren't even going to click it because it's over our mileage limit. But for $900, any car that's running and driving is usually worth it, and you can sell it for $2,000 or so. This I almost clicked on because it's $1,000, but when you zoom in, you can see there's literally no front bumper on it. So that's kind of what I'm doing when I'm looking through all these listings. I'm just sorting through all of them really quickly, like in my brain, and then clicking on the ones that might be a potential deal, and then obviously going more in depth on it. All right, here's a $1,200, 170,000 miles, and it's for parts. Parts cars are not going to be worth buying, obviously, because they aren't running and driving, and you don't need parts. This one has engine damage, and it's $500. If you could get that for like $200 from the guy, you could just tow it straight to a tow yard and get like $400 for it, which sometimes can be worth it, but I just don't deal with it for that little amount of money. Mitsubishi Eclipse, these things are sometimes liked by like collector type people, like it's almost some sort of sports car basically. And they say there's nothing wrong with it. They also say they're flexible on the price, which is cool to see, which you probably could get it for $1,500. So we're definitely going to be saving this, and hopefully they're selling for a pretty good price when we do the comparing. And $1,000 Kia. Car is good, just needs a transmission. That means the car isn't good. Ooh, 63,000 miles for only $3,000. They don't need it anymore. The registration's up to date. And the only problem with it is it needs a recharge for the AC, which, yeah, that's probably right. Let's look over the pictures. And yeah, like they circled it, but you can see 63,000 miles, so they aren't lying about that. There really isn't much pictures, but it does look to be really clean, polished up, really nice looking. So that one, we went ahead and saved it, and we'll go check on it later. But let's see what else we can find down here. Ooh, a Volkswagen 2014, 107,000 miles for $3,000. It does say mechanic special, so let's see what's wrong with it. Scrolling down, it says mechanic special, interior already. Oh, I didn't even read it. It needs a new engine and a windshield replacement for $3,000. That is nowhere near a good deal. What about this? $1,800 Kia Soul, 180,000 miles, and it's got a CAT code. And for the catalytic converters, when they throw a code, usually you need to replace it. Sometimes it's just a sensor or something, but they're really expensive to replace, so I usually won't bother with those. Let's check out this one. As you can see, already right next to it, a similar one is going for $3,000, and this one's only $1,600. He says really nice car, and then today's special. He's saying it like it's a special. He's probably just selling his personal car and thinks that's gonna help sell it. He doesn't show any pictures of the inside, but it actually looks pretty clean. And since it's a bigger car, people like bigger cars because they can hold more stuff and they're worth more basically. Ooh, all right. The next one is $1,500. It does have 200,000 miles. And I can already see that fender's banged up right there. There's no description on it. On the inside, it's pretty dirty. The door panel's missing. The paint isn't too good. But what I will say is if you replace that fender, you'd have to replace the door too. It is a truck and people pay a lot more for trucks usually. So we're going to save it, and just depending on how much they're selling for, we'll decide if that's a deal or not. There's something up with this. Only $1,000 for a Dodge Charger. Yep, I was right. It's a scam. They're asking to email them instead of just messaging here. Obviously, it's a scam. Ooh, Infiniti G35 for only $1,900. I actually almost bought one of these. We can already see, though, this thing has been completely destroyed. He modded this thing out, and it says crank no start, used to start up. So this thing's destroyed. When there's modded out cars like that, they're usually always going to have tons of problems and aren't really worth buying. And trust me, I've bought in quite a few modded out cars, and I've had a lot of problems with all of them. If you really want a modded out car, just buy a stock one and mod it out yourself. What about this? A $500, 124,000 miles for a BMW, but it has a bad clutch, and that's going to require taking the transmission out and replacing it. So that's going to get kind of pricey. And we're here at the bottom of our searches. Let's check out this last car right here. For only $1,300, 120,000 miles. It's mechanic special and it's not running, so that's going to be a no from me. Since we reached the bottom right here and we're just trying to stay in the same area, we're going to go over to the saved cars and check those out. So here's all the ones we ended up saving, and we're just going to start at the bottom of the list and buy Carfaxes for all the ones that show the plate in the picture. So this one shows the plate. Let me buy a Carfax real quick. So right here at the top of the Carfax, already I can see he was wrong about the mileage and the year. It says 2002 here with 206,000 miles. And in this one, it says 2001 with 185,000 miles. So he's just completely lying about this car. And I bet it doesn't run amazing or very reliable. I bet there's some other things wrong with it as well. And it's over our mileage limit. It's a little sketchy, so we're gonna unsave that one and move on to the next. For this one, the plate is right there. Let me buy one real quick. Wow, all right. So this says it's a 2007 with only 55,000 miles. And if we go back to the listing, they didn't even say the miles. And a car with that low of miles, like, I'm surprised they didn't say it. And they also didn't say the year. So now we know the year, which is good to see. Let's just look over the Carfax for anything that stands out that might be suspicious or something bad about it. And most of these beginning records, like it's 10 years ago, there's no point in really reading them unless it was like an accident or something. What I do notice is this was bought a year ago, which isn't that bad, but there was no records on it, so they just bought it. Maybe it had no problems or they did their own work. But back here, this thing looks amazing. It's super low miles. And they don't even show much as a description, which is really good to see because other people won't really message them because it's just a bad listing. But I think you could make a lot of money on this thing. We'll see when we go to compare it, but let's finish buying Carfaxes for the rest of them. Real fast, if you're getting into car flipping, I'd like to buy you a free Carfax. It's gonna help you avoid buying a car with hidden problems. Maybe it's been in an accident or it just has horrible service records. Or maybe like that last car, it's gonna show you something good about the car that they didn't even say in the description. And I'll literally always buy one before I buy a car because why wouldn't you? It tells you so much about it and it'll help you from getting scammed. They're normally $45, but this is my gift to you. Just click the link in the description, enter your email, and I'll send one over. But on to the next car, 2005 Saturn. Let's see if they show the license plate. Yeah, they don't show the license plate, so we can't buy a Carfax on this. If we decide we want it, we'll have to ask the guy for the license plate number, which shouldn't be a big deal, but we'll still go along and compare it with other ones. Here's the license plate on this car. And this car right here, it's a salvage title, which on the listing, they did say it was a salvage title in the description, but it's just such a good price. So let's keep looking through the Carfax and see if there's anything else. Here's the accident. You can see it was in the front. So when it says it was in the front, I'll go back to the pictures and look at the front of the car and see if it looks off. And so what we can see here is you can see the bumper's a little bit of a different color than the hood, which is why it was replaced and repainted. But that's really not that big of an issue, especially on these cheaper cars. And salvage cars won't sell for as much, but when we get to comparing, we'll see what they're going for and then take a little off the price because it was salvaged. But yeah, you can see this guy got it past emissions right before selling it, which is good to see. They're just trying to sell it. So yeah, the Carfax checks out on that. It's just salvage title, which isn't ideal. And on this car, the plate's right there. The mileage and the year match up to the listing, and we can see there was an accident reported. So when we scroll down, we'll see a little more information on the accident and check for anything else that's suspicious. I got to the bottom and I didn't see the accident. Where was that? Oh, it was right here. Okay. This actually isn't bad. It didn't show us where the accident was, but it just says it exceeds $750. But this was in 2014, and so it was probably fixed up pretty well because it was somewhat of a newer car then, and they'll fix them better. Like if it was just in a crash now, they wouldn't fix it up as much because it's just not worth as much. But yeah, this Carfax checks out. There's nothing crazy wrong with it. So coming over here to this next car, the Mazda 3, and the plate's right there for us to buy a Carfax. Ooh, this is not good to see. 273,000 miles, and back on the listing it said 191,000. So they're just completely lying about the miles. And it had an accident reported, which again isn't that big of a deal on these cheaper cars, but they just completely lied about the miles. And that's just way too many miles for us. Plus they're probably lying about other stuff and there's other things wrong with it. So this car, even though it's $800, we're not going to want to buy that. So let's unsave that and see what our next car is. Do they show the license plate? Oh, they took off the license plate and they taped some paper on, like, I don't know what that's, but just because of that, honestly, I'm going to unsave it because that means they probably couldn't get a license plate for it, and we already have some better deals than that one. But on this one, let's see if they show us. The license plates are just barely visible to where you can't actually see the license plate number, so that's a little unfortunate. What about this one? And in this one, we don't have to click on the listing and we can see the license plate. This Carfax is actually pretty weird. It says 142,000 miles, and if we go back here, it says 175,000 miles. So he just got the miles completely wrong, which is a bonus for us, honestly, but he didn't tell us it was salvage, which is a negative. And just scrolling through everything really quickly, it doesn't really seem like there's anything wrong with this Carfax. Obviously, it was salvage title, and he didn't tell us about that. And because of that, I'm gonna unsave it, and that's not gonna be a deal. We've got 4 cars left, and then we'll start comparing them and seeing which ones are actually worth it or not. On this one, the miles, the year checks out, even 4,000 miles less than he said. Minor damage. Ooh, there's a lot of minor damage. It's been crashed 3 times, all in the front left, basically. That's odd. I really don't care that much about that. We'll just check the front left of this car to see if it looks good in the listing. And right here in the front left, it looks like it was fixed up pretty good, at least the last time. And yeah, this car checks out. The Carfax isn't too bad. And so when we get around to comparing it, we'll see how much those things are selling for. All right, here's the license plate on the next one. Ooh, structural damage reported. That's essentially a salvage title just because it means it was pretty bad. And let's just go down and scroll on the Carfax. Here's minor damage here, and scrolling down, where's the structural damage? All right, here it is. That's really not a good thing to see. I'd say it's essentially a salvage title, but was just enough to fix up, and maybe it's still there. I'm not sure exactly. But there's another odd thing, which is it was literally just bought by someone and serviced, and now they're just selling it for no reason. Honestly, this car's pretty suspicious, and he was lying about some things. Honestly, this car's not that good. Yeah, it has low miles, but it has structural damage, and the price is $3,000, which is fine, but I'm gonna unsave that and check out these last 2 cars. The plate on this next car, let me buy a Carfax. And not even looking over the Carfax, just at the top, we can see it has 202,000 miles, and in the listing it said 180,000, but that's over our car mile limit that we're doing for this video. So that's just an instant no for us. And the last car, and he doesn't show the license plate on it, so we're just gonna have to trust it's good. And if we actually end up wanting this car, we would just message the guy and ask him for the plate number. But let's get on to comparing all these cars with other similar ones to see what they're really worth. And I'm gonna save this Jeep for last because I think that one might make us a lot of money. We'll start at the top here. Dodge Dakota. And putting it over here in a new tab. I mean, the prices are kind of all over. Like, here's one for $1,500, but then there's some for $5,000. Let's click on the $1,500. That's the lowest one. I bet this one has some problems. I mean, it doesn't say it needs that much, but it does have a few problems. And then they're going up to $5,000, but that's with less miles than ours. Whoa, refresh. Seems like they're going for $3,000, $4,000 maybe. And this one will need a whole new door, a new fender. Let's look over the rest of it. A new door panel. The paint's pretty bad. Ooh, there's a pretty bad dent there. I didn't notice at first. But I mean, for $1,500, I think you could fix up a little bit of this car, and you kind of have to leave a lot of the problems. You might be able to make $1,000 profit. But that's really not enough to go check it out. And when you check it out, it might have even more problems. So I unsaved that, and let's move on to this one right here. And yeah, I was pretty wrong about this car. Ours is like the highest priced one. So instantly we're gonna unsave this. Unsave, and Honda Pilots are next up. And when we're looking at other similar ones for this one, remember that this one's 4-wheel drive. And 4-wheel drive will usually get $1,000, sometimes even $2,000 more than other similar ones. It seems like most of these are all 4-wheel drive. Maybe that's the only way they made them. But it seems like the good condition ones are going for $3,000, while some other ones are going for $2,000. Looking at ours, I think we could get probably $2,500 for it. So you'd have to negotiate it down to like $1,200, maybe even $1,000 to make it worth it. But it is a really clean car. And yeah, there's some cars like that where you can make some profit on it. I'd rather have a car where you could make $2,000, even $3,000 profit sometime. Let's see what these Scions are selling for. I'm actually curious. Well, not too good, up to $2,500 just right away from looking at these first cars. And this one was pretty clean, but again, that's only $1,000 profit, and that's kind of just risking some money for not that big of an upside. All right, this Ford Fiesta right here, and putting it right here. Whoops, putting it here. I can't type. All right, come on, dude. Okay, there we go. We got that. So it seems like they're going from $1,500 up to $4,000. But how many miles does ours have? Ours has 145,000 miles. So checking that on these other ones, like there's some lower mile ones. I think it's around $2,500, taking into account the condition, the miles, everything like that. So this is no deal unless obviously you negotiate it down. I mean, it is a deal, but it's nothing crazy like if you were buying it personally, but to make profit on it, it's not real deal. All right, I'm honestly not sure why I saved this car. I don't really want it because just looking at it, it has 151,000 miles for $1,800. It looks to be in pretty bad condition, so we're just going to unsave that. And we've got the last car right here, which is hopefully going to be a great deal and make us a lot of money, just depending on what these other ones are selling for in the other tab. You have to remember ours has 50,000 miles, and all of these have like triple that. Most of them 150,000, some even more than that. And it seems like they're going from around $2,000 to $4,000. And there's none with as low of miles as ours. So I think our car, we could get $4,500 for it. Yeah, I'd say that's honestly a pretty fair estimate just because of how low the miles are and it doesn't even look to be in bad condition. You might have to fix up a couple things that we aren't told about, but that right there is a $3,000 profit on this car, and this is our deal. And now that your deal skills are ready, you're gonna need to learn how to turn a car into the most profit possible. So check out this video where I show you the tricks of how you can go from hardly any profit to making thousands on every car. And as always, I'm wishing you a lucky day.